Today we are decluttering my bronzers. Well, this is probably going to be similar to the blush video that I did. I'm not sure that I'm going to declutter much, if anything, from my bronzers, but I figured I would at least go through them since I'm going through my whole makeup collection, and I don't know, we'll see if I decide to get rid of anything. But we're gonna do powder bronzers first, and then we'll move on to the creams. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm filming earlier in the day than I normally do, so I am only on this is a brand new second cup of coffee. So if I seem a little low energy, it's because I'm not really a morning person, but gotta get these videos filmed. So all right, we're gonna start over here. So this, I don't know that you guys have actually seen me use this in a video because this is brand new to me, and it's Flower Beauty, the Heat Wave Luminous Bronzer. I've used this a few times on myself, but not in a video. This is the prettiest, most interesting bronzer. It's very subtle, so that's it right there. It reminds me of the Hourglass bronzers. This one is the lighter shade Sunrise, but I know there's a second shade that's a little bit darker, a little bit warmer. But that's it right there. It's so pretty. It's just a really subtle luminous bronzer, and I love this. I'm thinking about maybe doing a full face of Flower Beauty at some point, and I actually had a coupon for CVS that was going to expire, so I used it to buy this bronzer because I've seen so many people raving about this. So that is obviously a keep. Next we have this one from Revlon. It's the Skin Lights Prismatic Bronzer, and this is the shade Sunlit Glow. That's it there. This is so pretty. I talked about this a few times on my channel. This kind of reminds me of the Flower Beauty one. It's a little bit warmer though. So the Flower Beauty is a little more cool toned, and the Revlon one is a little bit warmer, but they both have that really pretty luminous finish without being glittery. So these are two really good drugstore bronzers if you like something with a little more of a luminous finish. I really like this. I think it comes in a darker shade also. This is the lighter one, but this is so pretty. They make a highlighter from this line too that I've kind of wanted to try, but this is really good. I like this a lot. Next we have the Milani Silky Matte Bronzer, and this is the medium shade. So I have the fair or the light shade that's in my project pan right now. It's not in here, it's in my everyday makeup drawer, but this is the medium shade. This one doesn't really get used currently because I'm trying to use my fair one, but that is it there. There's honestly not a huge difference in the medium and the fair to me in this bronzer, but I do think the medium is just a tad bit warmer than the light shade. The light one is a pretty, I would say, neutral to cool bronzer. This one's a little bit warmer. This is probably my favorite matte bronzer from the drugstore. It's so good and love it so much. I use this color a little more in the summer, springtime, but definitely want to keep it. And then another drugstore bronzer, the Maybelline City Bronzer. I think this was like a limited edition collection with this New York themed packaging, which is cute. But this is it here, and this is the shade 200. So I think this is also the medium shade. Let me swatch this. Now this bronzer does have some shimmer to it. I don't know if it will pick up on camera, but there's some definite shimmer in there. It's really pretty. It's a little more, like you can actually see the glitter in this bronzer. You can't really see it in the Revlon and the Flower Beauty, but you can in the Maybelline one. This is good. Probably not my favorite in terms of drugstore bronzers, but I do like it. I just tend to go for something matte like the Milani, or I like something with that really light luminous finish like the Flower and the Revlon. But this is nice from Maybelline. I do want to keep it. Next we have the famous Butter Bronzer. This is just the original bronzer color. Love this. I haven't reached for this in a while though, I will say. I still, to this day, think they should change the packaging on this, but anyway, that's it there. It's pretty. This one is actually pretty old because it looks a little lighter than what I remember, but obviously I like very similar looking bronzers because the Butter Bronzer also has a little bit of that luminous quality to it, but it's really good. Let me see. It's actually starting to kind of lose its smell too, which is sad, but gotta keep the Butter Bronzer even though I really don't like this packaging, but that one is a classic. Next is the Bare Minerals Endless Summer Bronzer in the shade Faux Tan. So I talked about this in the video where I was revisiting my favorites from 2020. This was one of them. I love this bronzer, but I think you could probably see here, I don't know why it gets such bad hard pan. I don't know, like even when you swatch it, like it does come off. It's not like you can't get any product off, but it has the weirdest like dry feeling to it. I don't know how to explain it, but I love the Faux Tan color. It's such a pretty bronzer. It's neutral, but it has just a little bit of warmth to it. It's so pretty. It doesn't have shimmer in it, but it has a little bit of a luminous look to it. I love it. It's so pretty. If you have this bronzer, let me know if yours does this. Sometimes I feel like I don't reach for this as much anymore because the hard pan makes it go on kind of patchy sometimes, but I love the color. So if you have this bronzer, let me know if yours did this, but I do really like the Faux Tan color. I'm gonna keep it. Next is the Bobbi Brown bronzer in the shade Golden Light. This is another one that used to be like an absolute favorite. Honestly, this one kind of has the same feel as that Bare Minerals bronzer. Like you can see, I just swatched it and like nothing came off. It's got hard pan too. I don't know why. Like, look, nothing is coming off. Some's coming off on my finger, but yeah, it's got major hard pan. Ugh, that makes me sad. All right, there's some of the color, so that's it there. It's a little, has a little bit more of a reddish undertone, but I don't know what to do about this. If you know how to fix this, please comment below and let me know. Because yeah, I'm not going to use it if I have to do all this work every time I try to use it. And again, it kind of applies patchy because, I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but literally this whole surface has hard pan now. I don't know. I'm going to keep it for now, I guess, but let me know what you think in the comments. Next, we have the Fenty Beauty, I always forget the name of these, the Sunstalker bronzer. So this is the powder bronzer in the shade Shady Biz. I actually bought this quite a while ago and I kind of forgot about it. And I got it back out the other day and it's really good. The formula is really nice on this. It's a matte bronzer. I will say this color for me, I feel like is sometimes a little bit warm. But if you use just a really fluffy brush and use a light hand with it, it's pretty. But it definitely is a pretty warm toned bronzer. But I love the matte finish. It kind of reminds me of the Milani bronzer a little bit. But that one is a definite keep. Then we have the Ilia Nightlight bronzer in the shade Drawn In. Honestly, this one feels like it has hard pan too. Not as bad as the others, but it does feel like it has some hard pan. So that's it there. That color is actually very, very similar to the Fenty in Shady Biz. It's another matte bronzer. It's really pretty. Yeah, why are all my bronzers getting weird? This one isn't as bad as the Bobbi Brown one, but it's a pretty color. I like it. I love Ilia, so I want to keep it. Next we have this from Laura Mercier. It's the Matte Radiance Baked Powder in the shade Bronze number 2. I had talked about this in another video, but I actually found this recently and did not realize this is what it was. For some reason, when I saw this packaging, I thought it was my Matte Radiance highlighter, and I do still have that, but I didn't remember buying the bronzer version of this, but I like this very much. This is, again, you can see what kind of bronzers I like. Very subtle. This one definitely has, kind of like the name says, it's a matte bronzer, but it has just a little bit of radiance to it without being glittery, which is nice. These are really, really pretty, and these powders are very buttery and easy to work with. So I love this a lot. Definitely want to keep that one. Then we have the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Natural in the shade Medium Tan. So this is very, very similar to the one I just showed you, the Laura Mercier one. Let me show you. So that is it there. That one's a little bit warmer than the Laura Mercier, but they're very similar in terms of finish. I got this because I saw Alexa Blake use this on her channel as a bronzer, and I love the Skin Finish Natural in Light Plus, which is what I use just for my whole face, but I thought it would be nice to have it in a bronzer color. So that is a definite keep. Next we have the mini Tom Ford Soleil Glow Bronzer in the shade Terra. Packaging, everything. I'm actually not sure what's going on with this bronzer because I went to look this up like a week or so ago, and it looked like it was either being discontinued, or I don't know if they're like repackaging or what, but it's kind of hard to find online. So that's it there. It's a lot more neutral, almost a little bit of a cooler tone than like that MAC one is pretty warm. But it's this one I like because it's a really realistic looking bronze. It does not look fake. It looks exactly like how your skin would naturally tan, which I love. And this one is pretty old, but it does not have any hard pan as of yet, which is nice. And yeah, the packaging is so gorgeous, super expensive, but actually I bought this. I don't know why I did this, but I bought this one time when I was at the cosmetics company store. They had this bronzer in the full size, so the really large one. I still have it. It's never been used, but it was randomly like 75% off, and then it was like an additional 10% off. And if you know, that bronzer is like $120 normally, I think, and I paid like, I want to say I paid like $25 for it, something crazy. So I have the full size, so I'm never going to run out of this basically. But it is really pretty. If you can find it discounted, this is really nice, and I definitely want to keep it. Next is this from Well People. This is the Bio Base Baked Bronzer in the shade Natural Tan. So again, this is another pretty luminous bronzer. This is really nice, actually. It is such a silky feeling bronzer. That is it there. And it's really pretty. Now this one, if you look closely, it does have a little bit of, it's not really glitter. Well, I guess it is kind of, it's very, very fine glitter particles, but it's really, really pretty. The feel of it reminds me of that MAC Mineralized Skin Finish, or even that Laura Mercier Matte Radiance Powder. This is really a pretty color though. I love this. This is very neutral, so it's not super warm, not super cool. It's like right in between. It's really pretty. I always forget that I have this for some reason. I really need to pull this out and use it more. But yeah, definitely want to keep that one. Then we have the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Bronzer in Nude Bronze Light, which looks like this. This used to be like my absolute favorite bronzer. But I will say, like I was mentioning earlier, so that's it there. I will say I feel like mine is not the most like pigmented, because these bronzers are all, since they're marbleized, they're not all exactly the same. So that one is there. It's very pretty. It's just very, very light and subtle. But I do love the Hourglass bronzers. I don't use this as much as I used to, just because I've gotten other bronzers that I really like. But they do make some beautiful powder products, and I do want to keep it. And then I also have this little baby Hourglass bronzer. This is Luminous Bronze Light, which if I bought another one of these in the future, I think I would buy this color. I've hit pan on this one. I don't know if you can see, but this is a little bit deeper, but the color is a little more, just a little more noticeable on this one. Hopefully you can see that there. It's really, really pretty. I've had this forever, and I actually love to use this as eyeshadow. It's really pretty, like all over crease color or just all over your eye, really. But definitely want to keep it and use this up. Then we have from Buxom, this is the Staycation Vibes Primer Infused Bronzer. So this is the bronzer that's similar to the Primer Infused blushes. This one is Rooftop Tan. I got this earlier this year at TJ Maxx, so that is it there. It's a little more of a red toned bronzer, a little more red base, I should say. It's very, it's not so much of an olivey bronzer, it's more of the natural tan color that your skin would turn if you actually got sun. So this is really pretty. I need to use this more also, but I love the Buxom powders. I love the primer infused blushes, and I love this as well. The finish on this, I don't know if you can tell, but it's very similar to the primer infused blushes. It has that really pretty luminous quality to it. Or it's more of a radiance, I would say, but definitely want to keep this from Buxom. Then we have one of my all-time favorites, which is NARS Laguna. My very first high-end bronzer was NARS Laguna, and it's still one of my all-time favorites. I can remember, I've talked about this before, I think, but I can remember when I first bought this from Sephora. I just thought I was so cool because I had this NARS bronzer, and I remember my first one, I used it so much and loved it and loved it and loved it, and I took it with me somewhere. This was years ago. I took it with me and it shattered and broke, and I remember I nearly cried when I saw that it was broken, because I don't know, it just brought me so much happiness, and I just felt so cool because I had a NARS bronzer. But yeah, this will always be in my collection. It's such a beautiful bronzer. To me, this is the perfect neutral bronzer. If you don't like something super warm and you don't like something really cool, you like something right in between, and it does have radiance to it. It's not a matte bronzer, but oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I love this one so much. Then this is actually my last powder bronzer. These other two are actually creams that are in here. This is the Dior Forever Natural Bronzer in the shade number 4, Tan Bronze. So I got this recently. It was actually during the Sephora Friends and Family sale they had a month or two ago. And that is it there. I had talked about this in another video, but this bronzer is very pretty, don't get me wrong, and the packaging is I mean, do I really need to say anything? It's this really pretty beige kind of quilted packaging. It's a beautiful bronzer. However, it has a very strong smell. Has that same smell that all the Dior foundations have. And it's very, very pretty. It was very expensive. I don't know that I would say it's worth how much it was. I think it was like $50, but very beautiful, but very bougie. For me, at least, it's very bougie. And of course I want to keep it, but I don't know that I can tell you it's worth $50. Okay, so we're moving on to my creams now. So I keep my creams in these two little plastic containers. So the first is from Tower 28, and it's the Bronzino, the West Coast color. This is what it looks like. So I love the Tower 28 cream formula. I think it is so, so pretty. It is very, very luminous. Hopefully you can see there. So this is one you don't need to use a lot of. Like that was a lot that I just swatched. But it's a very bronzer, if that makes sense. I mean, it truly looks bronze. It's so pretty, so nice. I love this cream formula. It's so good, and it, like I said, it takes a very small amount of product. Same with the blushes, but this is so nice. I love this one, so definitely to keep. Then we have the Fenty cream bronzer in Butter Biscuit. So hopefully you can see this one is very well loved. I use this quite a bit. And I like this because this is definitely more of a matte cream bronzer, and the color is just perfect for me. So that is it there. So you can see it's not nearly, it's a totally different finish than that Bronzino. But oh my gosh, it's so good. It's the same formula as the cream blushes from Fenty that I love, and I use this quite a bit. I'm kind of surprised actually. I haven't hit pan on this yet because there's a pretty big dip in it, but love this so much. Definitely want to keep it. Okay, then we have this. So this was the NARS cream bronzer in Laguna. So this came out, I guess it was earlier this year, and it's limited edition. I don't think you can get it anymore. And this is a beautiful bronzer, but I will say I do not use this that often because it is so pigmented. Like, look how dark this is. And this is Laguna. This is not even Casino. Casino is supposed to be the darker of the two from what I understand. And look how deep Laguna is. It's much deeper than the powder Laguna. So I feel like that's why I don't reach for it. The formula is really good. It's very, very thin actually, and it blends really well. It's just you have to be kind of careful with it when you use it. I need to use this more, honestly, but the one thing about it is it is super, super pigmented. I wish they had not made this limited edition either. I feel like these were really popular, so maybe they'll bring them back, but I do definitely want to keep it. Then I have this little Hollywood Flawless Filter from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the shade, let's see, 6.5. And I got this thinking I would use it as a bronzer. And I need to play around with it a little bit more. It's obviously I love the Hollywood Flawless Filter, but the few times I've used this color, it's just a little bit warm for me. So that's it there. It's a little bit orangey, so I have to use it kind of sparingly. I wish I had gotten a shade that was a little more on the neutral side, but I need to play around with this and see if I can make it work. But I got this thinking I was going to use it as bronzer, but you can see there it's definitely on the warmer side, so just have to be kind of careful with it, but I am going to keep it. Okay, then we have this. I'm not even going to swatch this because I use it all the time, and I really only use this for special occasions because I love it so much. The Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Contour Wand in Fair Medium. Let me see, actually. if there's some already on the, yeah, there is on the applicator. So that is it there, and it looks so scary when you swatch it, but I've said this before, I'm telling you, this cream contour blends so easily. I feel like it would take you true effort to mess this up. It just blends so beautifully, and you can see how subtle it is. So it's not scary, and I love it. I love this so much that I don't want to use it up, so that's why I use it so sparingly, but this is amazing. If you haven't tried it, highly recommend. Then we have the Cover FX Monochromatic Bronzer Duo in Sun-Kissed Bronze. So if you saw my blush collection, declutter but mostly collection, I showed that I have 2 of these in the blushes, and I do have one of the bronzers in Sun-Kissed Bronze. So there they are there. So you have more of the luminous one and then the matte over there. And with this, it's kind of similar to that NARS cream bronzer. Oh, I just realized these are powder. I don't know why. I don't know how they ended up in here, but anyway. So these are powders, obviously, but they're very pigmented again. So for me, I have to use a pretty light hand with these, but they are so, so pretty. These Cover FX duos are so good. I love them so much. So that is a definite keep. And then we have this. So this is the Patrick Ta Cream and Powder Bronzer Duo in the shade She Sculpted. So this is the medium shade. And I know these have been out of stock forever. I'm not sure why. I feel like hopefully they'll be restocked soon, but everyone loves these. I feel like, I don't know that I've ever seen a bad review of these from Patrick Ta, but here is the cream and She Sculpted, and I applied a good bit, so it's pretty dark there, but these blend out so easily. And then I'll swatch the powder for you. So there is the powder in She Sculpted and the cream. So the cream contour is a little more cool toned and the powder is a little more warm. Together, they're so good. You guys know how I feel about all of my Patrick Ta blushes and bronzers, and I'm obsessed. I love them. Definite keep. I think we might get to one in a second that I might declutter, if you were wondering. I know I haven't decluttered anything yet, but I told you I love my bronzers. Then we have the Film Star Bronze and Glow from Charlotte Tilbury. So this is powder also. So you get a contour shade in here and then a highlighter. I have not used this lately, but I do really like it. The bronzer in here is really, really pretty. A little more on the cool side, but it blends. Like, I don't know if you could just see how well that blended on my wrist there, but so pretty. I need to get this back out and use it. I used to use it all the time back when I first got it. The highlight in here is really pretty too. It's very subtle, not super, super shimmery, but it gives you a really pretty glow. So this is fantastic. I need to pull this out again, honestly, and use it. I always kind of forget that I have it, but it's so, so pretty. Then we have one of my favorite cream bronzers ever, the Milk Makeup Matte Bronzer in the shade Baked. I've had this for a long time, and I still have so much product left. One of these will literally last forever. That is it there. And this one also looks kind of scary when you first put it on your hand or your face or wherever, but it blends out so easily and it's so nice. So this is not, because they say it's matte and it does dry down to a pretty matte finish, but it's a very soft matte. It's it almost has a little bit of luminous quality to it. I don't know if you can tell there, but it does dry down completely and it's such a beautiful shade. So this is the shade Baked. And then I think it came in a darker color, which I can't think of the name of right now. I'm not sure what's going on with this either, because the last few times I've gone to link this, it's out of stock most places. I have been able to find a mini in stock, I think on Sephora, maybe even milk.com, but I hope they're not discontinuing this because this is such a great cream bronzer. Love, love, love that one. Okay, here's one. Oh, I think I am going to declutter. So this is actually not a bronzer. It's by Maybelline, but it's one of the Fit Me foundation sticks in the shade Coconut. I'll swatch it for you. So that is it there. This is just too warm. On me, it just looks orangey. And I've tried it a few different times with different base products, and it just, I don't know, something about the color on this I just don't love. I was influenced by TikTok to buy this. I saw somebody on TikTok using it, and I bought it. And I remember it didn't look as warm on this person when they applied it, but every time I use it, I feel like my face just looks orange. So I am actually going to declutter that one. The first declutter, we have the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer in the shade Honey Drip. This is a definite keep. I love this. So this is such an interesting texture. It's definitely more, it almost feels like a gel. It dries down to a very, very matte finish. So that's it there. You can see it's not super dark and intense. It's very light, but it's very buildable. So you can go in a few times if you want something darker. But this is the strangest consistency. These putty products, the blushes are the same way. They're very, very creamy when you put them on, but they dry down completely. So interesting. But I love this. I think this is great for a cream bronzer from the drugstore. So that is obviously a keep. Then we have the Nude Sticks Nudies All Over Face Color in Bondi Bay. So this is really popular. I feel like tons and tons of makeup artists that I follow use this. So that is it right there. If I go overboard with this, it can be a little bit much for me, so that's it right there. It's very pretty, but it's definitely very warm, so I have to use this kind of sparingly. And I like it a little more when I have on like self-tan or in the summertime when I like more of that warm bronze look, but really nice. I love the Nude Sticks All Over Face colors. The blushes I also love, and I have a few of the highlighters too. These are really nice and definitely want to keep it. Then we have my Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Shaping Stick in the shade Light. So this one I got earlier this year when it came out, and it is one of my favorites. This is a pretty matte bronzer, so there's not a lot of shimmer to it. It's very neutral. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but it's a lot more neutral than like that Maybelline stick. It's perfect for my skin tone. I love this, and it blends so easily. And these do come with this little brush on the other end. I don't use this often, but I have used it just to try it out, and it actually does work pretty well to blend out the creams. Nude Sticks has a little brush on one end as well, but this is a definite keep. Ooh, okay, then we have these. These are from Cover FX. They're the bronzer drops in the shade Sunkissed. So I got these, I think I got mine at Marshall's, but I bought these because I always see Kellyanne on Instagram. I talk about her all the time, but she's always using these on herself, and they always look so pretty. So it's just basically a liquid bronzer in a little dropper bottle like this, and I don't use them often. I think it's because of the packaging. I don't love things that I have to dispense out like that, but I need to use these more because it's such a pretty dewy bronzer, and the color is really nice too. So I am going to keep these. I need to get these out and use these more. I think you can also mix these in with your foundation, like a drop or two, if you have a foundation that's too light or you just want more of a bronzed look. You could do that. You could mix this with your moisturizer. There's a lot you could do with this. So I do want to keep those and try to use them some more. Then we have the Chanel Le Beige Healthy Glow Bronzer. This is the light one, so this is the original color. I know they recently came out with a deeper shade. Thank goodness. But this is so nice. That's it there. So you can see it's a lot warmer than that Cover FX bronzer, but these are, I love this bronzer. I know some people were not happy when they reformulated it, but I personally love mine. I do wish they had more than 2 shades because, hello, we need more than 2 shades, but this is a beautiful bronzer. It's so bougie. I love the packaging and it's good. I love it. Definitely want to keep it. Okay, and then we have these two. These are from Bare Minerals. They're the Bare Pro Glow Bronzers. So they're liquid bronzers. I have 2 of them. I have one in the shade Warmth. So that is it there. I never reach for these. I just don't ever find myself wanting to use a really liquidy bronzer like this, but they are, I mean, they are really pretty. And then we have this one, which is Faux Tan, which is a good bit lighter and not quite as warm as Warmth. But Faux Tan is such a pretty color. It's the same color as the Endless Summer bronzer I have from Bare Minerals. I think I might keep Faux Tan because I love the color so much, but I do think I'm going to get rid of Warmth. I don't use either of these, and I feel like I definitely don't need 2 of them. So I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter Warmth and keep Faux Tan. Okay, one more powder bronzer I forgot about. This is in my everyday makeup drawer right now, but it's the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer in the shade Medium. So I actually just filmed a everyday makeup drawer, a new one, and I decided to put this bronzer in there because I feel like this is definitely a bronzer I don't reach for that often, and I'm not really sure why other than the size of it. I don't know why, but I feel like because this bronzer is so large, I just don't reach for it. It's also starting to get a little bit of hard pan on it. I don't know if you can tell, but I need to try to get that off because it is a pretty color and I like it. It's very smooth. It's like the airbrush powder from Charlotte Tilbury, but this is now in my everyday makeup drawer. So hopefully I will get some more use out of that. And that is it for all of my bronzers. So we only decluttered 2, which is not surprising. I figured I was going to keep most of these, but I'm going to go ahead and move you over there to my drawers and we'll put everything away and I'll show you the final result. Okay, so here are my bronzers. I actually realized, so I had moved my bronzers from the bottom up to this second drawer, so they would be near my blush, which is up here, but I didn't realize that these bronzers, a lot of them, if I use this organizer, are too tall for this drawer. These on the bottom are a little bit deeper, so I can actually close the drawer if I put them down here, so bronzer is gonna have to stay down here, but this is what we have. So I have my drugstore bronzers, powder bronzers, I mean, in my high-end powder bronzers, and then these are mostly creams, a few powders that won't fit in these organizers. But that is going to be it. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I hope you'll subscribe if you have not already, and follow me on Instagram at simply.blair. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Remember, simply be you. Bye.